All right, welcome to Naija Unfiltered, a SYMFONI podcast. I'm Victor Irwele, and our guest on today's edition of the program is a Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Edo State, Prince Kassim Afegbua. It's good to have you on the program once again. So much has happened between the last time you came around and now.
Thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction.
All right, let's start with some developments in the polity, some of them really disturbing. And let's start with former President Obasanjo and also your former principal, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. Former Ogun State Governor Olusegun Osoba published an article how Obasanjo deceived us in 2023. And
2003.
In 2003, sorry. And he accused the former president of betraying the Yoruba political leadership, particularly the Alliance for Democracy. And former President Obasanjo, in his own response he said, replied to your inaccurate posture, in which he blamed his former Vice President Atiku Abubakar for allegedly plotting to undermine his presidency. What is your report or your reaction to all of this?
Well, first and foremost, let me say that interactions, engagements, revelations such as this will only help to deepen our historical architecture to the point that people will get to know, parts of the whole subplots that oftentimes, inform decisions of a particular government at every point in time in Nigerian history. Don't forget that the Obasanjo years from 1999 to 2007, midway, it was dotted with all kinds of ruffle politics, so to put it. Ruffle in the sense that here was a president who said he was waiting on God before he could declare his second term ambition, and thereafter the altercations, the crisis between him and Atiku Abubakar, his vice president. I've listened to former President Obasanjo saying that the mistake he made in his life was choosing Atiku Abubakar as his vice. I think he's trying to be wholly selfish with that kind of statement, because he alone did not decide and determined who became his vice president in 1999. Don't forget that he had just been released from prison, where he has been kept for, on solitary confinement for 4 good years. So he could not have come out of that and become so, accessible to factors, to persons and all of that. The military oligarch that packaged him, put him together, bathed him, and installed him as a democratically elected president were the one who put us together to choose Atiku Abubakar as a running mate. Don't forget, Atiku was already a governor-elect in Adamawa. And this will be curious to you because I was part and parcel of the power process in PDP, even though as a younger element. But oftentimes, a lot of their meetings, I do take minutes of meeting. And I also do carry out quite a number of footwork, errands, messages. So I could predict who played what role, who didn't play what role, what happened, what didn't happen, and all of that. And the rationale for choosing Atiku Abubakar as VP will interest you. You know, these military politicians, the military persons, you know, we used to underrate them, but they are very deep when it comes to leadership and how they you know, they engage politics. They are very deep. When they were contemplating who to take as VP, what was uppermost in their mind was someone who will not look for the position of president in 2003. Because the agreement, well, quote and unquote, was for Olusegun Obasanjo to do first 4 years, General Ibrahim Babangida to do the next 4 years, and they will clear the, let me say, audience table, so to speak, for proper civilian democracy, civilian presidency, and all of that. Because they needed to deliberately and consciously midwife a democracy that will be like an evolutionary process, you know, having stayed long in military leadership in the country. Now, when that particular notion was put forward, the main actor said, no, allow Atiku Abubakar because they know he lost power. Give him a lot of responsibility. He will acquire more powers, and in the process, he will soil his hands. And when he soils his hands, if he wants to contest, we'll throw up all of those issues that will haunt him. So it was not a surprise that in 2007, it was, you know, even though he was able to scale to 2003, 2007, it was a hell of a trouble. You remember that he had to go to court. Nobody had to, you know, profile him, you know, investigated him and all of that. The reports were there, and, you know. So at the end of the day, Umaru Yar'Adua emerged. That was also another politics emerged, and that was it. But in 2003, the politics of who becomes was so rife. They had already the same power oligarch had prevailed on Alex Ekweme to come up, to take form and all that. Atiku Abubakar was also prevailed upon to collect form because they wanted to know his real intentions. This is real power play. And he did collect form. And even though later there were deniers here and there, to the point that OBJ, the almighty OBJ, had to be, was alleged to have knelt down to beg Atiku Abubakar that these governors who are all supporting Atiku, he should please rail them to his own side. Atiku was a real politician. So the OBJ who had just come back from prison barely 3 years ago had not had a foothold, but his military colleagues and friends helped him to stabilize at some point, even though he was not also not true to some of the unwritten agreements that were allegedly reached. You know, because everything they will tell you, how do you can't prove it, you can't do it, but we knew, and so in the process, from the day one that OBJ became president, I think he started showing a pattern that he was not going to be true to whatever informal agreement that was reached. Reasoning why in 2002 he said he was waiting for God to direct him with respect to the direction of his 2003 re-election. He was waiting for certain persons and all of that. And one of them was General Babangida. And now I'm only giving you a scoop, giving you snippets from my book that I'm writing about my years with IBB, my engagements with him, the things I saw, the kind of person he is. I have a very rich dose of a lot of information. Some of them will be good to deepen our conversation as a nation so that people can learn from them. Some of them will be kept, in the bowel of history, not to be exposed. But I can tell you that even at my level, I took a lot of risk in those Obasanjo years. And all of those risks were, carried out just to ensure that democracy was not derailed, to ensure that also certain things were done properly. And in the final analysis, OBJ got a second term. In 1999, when he became president, he tried to be his own man. He literally took away the structure of the party because Chief Sunday Awoniyi was supposed to be the chairman, the national chairman of PDP after OBJ came. But that after Solomon La exited, when they were to do fresh convention, they play Chief Sunday Awoniyi out of the way because he felt he was too strong a personality, that he won't be able to contend with him. So
He did that too.
Madu Ali, Audu Ogbe and all of that. But the anger of the 2003, political engagements was because Atiku Abubakar gave a lot of stress to OBJ before he could concede, and trust military generals. You give them the credit. They have a lot of experience, they have a lot of knowledge on how to cavort power and also how to manipulate power to get to a predetermined destination without you suspecting that anything is at play. I saw it raw at that level, top level. Privilege. I ask questions. I interact with persons, And so, knowing Nigeria now is quite an interesting experience at that period. Don't forget that after the second term, with the fight taking almost all the powers away from Atiku, leaving him with nothing, Obasanjo now wanted to become a conquistador.
We've always heard this thing. I just want to put it to you, giving you a privileged position and relationship with some very powerful individuals in the society. Just like Abubakar Atiku has also argued that he fought on the side of Nigeria, and that's why OBJ is always attacking him. Did Obasanjo seek for a third term?
Of course. You can't deny that.
But he has denied that. He didn't seek for a third term.
You see in politics, there are so many obvious denials that you know that it is just to save face. Don't forget that Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, with due respect, likes to see himself as numero uno of Nigerian political leadership. Having been military president for 3 years, handing over 1979, and coming on board again as civilian president 1999 to 2007, I think he has a fair share of the country, himself and Yakubu Gowon. Yakubu Gowon was almost like 9 years before he was torpedoed in 1975. And so, to a large extent, he wants to grandstand at that level. So he wouldn't want to concede to the very obvious, reality that, or claim that he sought third term.
Oh, yeah. Tell us the story behind the story. The
You
much
see,
you know about the
you
third
see,
term.
it's not even about telling us the story. It's very simple. Don't forget that there are quite a number of persons who have spoken about this. I watched this senator who was a professor, whose wife is NAFDAC DG.
Adeyeye.
Adeyeye. I think it's Adeyeye, yes? Is it Professor Adeyeye, yeah? Gave a very vivid account of what transpired amongst them that period, particularly in the period when they were sharing money in the National Assembly, particularly House of Reps, when they were sharing 50 million. Under a government that established EFCC, under a government that talks so much about anti-corruption, it was curious for anyone to think that they will be sharing 50 million in the National Assembly, lower chambers of the National Assembly, and no action was taken. Nothing was done. So we were aware, when I say we, those of us in opposition, because I left PDP, I went with other like minds to start National Frontiers with Ume Uzoke, Chief Awoniyi, Alhaji Abufari, quite a number of people, Kenny Martins, and so many of us. So I became director of publicity at the national headquarters of NDP. And from there, we were studying the body language of OBJ. Against his own wish, he never wanted parties to be registered, new parties to be registered, but we fought our way through with Ganifa Hemi and all of those persons getting involved, Balarabe Musa, all of them. We ensure that we register APUGA, Chekwa Sokore, NDP, Abufari, myself, Colonel Martin, quite a number of us, and UNPP of Saleh Jambo. It was registered 22nd June 2002, by which time I had already become spokesman to General Babangida. And we did a lot of serious opposition work. We became so formidable, so strong. And the reason for NDP and UNPP having different power, we didn't want government to clamp down one. There will be another one to resurrect. And all of these were positioned for General Babangida to contest the 2003 elections. If PDP as a party became unbearable or under the manipulation of the presidents, as it were, And along the line, we started saying there are certain things that I wouldn't want to say, because there are persons even within the presidency where the president is, who were also giving us information. But there was a particular meeting that was held September 13, 2006. That meeting, talked about third term, how to approach it, and vehicles were released, Land Cruisers. They gave 2 to Chief Emmanuel Wanyahu of blessed memory. They sent 1 to Oni of Ife of blessed memory also, Oba Shijuade. And one other persons in the hierarchy of the villa also got 1, and Chief Tony Aneni of blessed memory was also given 1, just to aid their mobility, because Chief Aneni was in that meeting and quite a number of other persons. But along the line, Chief Aneni's position didn't support the third term. That got Obasanjo angry. and the internal politics of why, so many things pass through under the bridge were orchestrated to put bottlenecks and obstacles in the way of Chief Obasanjo getting his plot through. So no one individual can claim to be, I work for Nigerian people, like Atiku was saying, and trying to claim credit for third term. No. The Ken Namani of this world, Senate president, he played a very formidable role. He wrote a book. You can also, maybe some of them will not want to unveil all the details of what they did. Even Ibrahim Mantu, who was seen to be an Obasanjo person and all that, was bought over, at the last, what is it called now, plenary, when Ken Namani finally put a nail on the coffin of third term when he read that powerful speech. And by the time he finished presenting his speech, and they asked Mantu, do you have any objection? He was looking the other way. The videos are there, you can go and check. Because he was already been told, don't forget that he was investigated and already indicted. So for that reason, his sins were forgiven for concurring with killing that daughter. You see, quite a number of persons played formidable role. Atiku was very infinitesimal, if you ask me. I wouldn't want to go into the details. But the three people who stopped third term are the military oligarchs. Those are the real people who stopped third term.
All right, this is interesting to know.
And General Babangida was the arrowhead, if you care to know. First and foremost, he introduced a dynamic. He said the National Assembly should put, he granted an interview with This Day. He said National Assembly should put the deliberations to live coverage. I want to see my senator or my rep member discussing about third term. I want to see the position that he will take so that it will be documented for that person, for posterity. It was a front page story of This Day newspaper of that era. And when he presented, when we did that interview, and that was relayed, the owners of AIT, Chief Raymond Dokwesi, was called upon and given a brief that he should please put all their deliberations on live coverage. AIT covered the entire proceedings of persons speaking about third term. So that also put a restraint on those people who were supporting in the night, and during the day they couldn't voice out their support. Chief Iwanya, who was to go and address World Igbo Congress in New York that year, when he got there, he was overwhelmed by the kind of personalities and crowd he saw. He couldn't speak. So when he came back, somebody was very angry. I wouldn't want to call the person's name. Said he should return those two vehicles. How can he go to a World Igbo and just keep mute? That was where he's supposed to start convincing people about this sort of. They now have to tell him now, they should allow him. That there's no point embarrassing him for that. That there are other things that he will always do.
Looking at all of this, do you think this 10th assembly, if they were in a position of Ken Namani's led assembly then, do you think they could have stopped a President Tinubu if he wants a third term today? Let us even, for the sake of argument.
No, of course, it is not. You see, let me tell you, I think a lot of people are not aware that this country is very deep. Victor, this country is very deep. I can tell you that for free because I have been privileged at a much younger age to be part and parcel of power play, power orchestration, and all that at top level. You know, you may choose to ignore me because I'm unimportant. But they say the importance of the unimportant. You may choose to ignore me. But I kept my ears to the ground, my eyes, watching a lot of scenarios. This country is very deep. It doesn't just come as easily as you say them. Where you want to, don't forget that General Sani Abacha was trying to do transmutation. 5 fingers of leprous hand, and everybody was gravitating towards that. Hey, you'd honestly ask for Abacha, this one that, this one that. When it was getting to the climax, when conventions had been concluded, don't forget, the last one was that of Grassroots Democratic Movement, for which I was a member. I was working hand in hand with late Alhaji MD Yusufu, former Inspector General of Police. We went to Borno for our own convention. Al-Mustafa came there. He came with presidential jet twice. They tried to manipulate, and at the end of the day, light went off at El Economic Stadium, the venue of the convention. Before you say Jack Robinson, before light was restored, they finished writing whatever they want to write and all that, and MD Yusufu was said to have been defeated. At that entrance to the El Kanami Stadium, they parked a station, a 504 Peugeot 504, green color with flag to symbolize Abacha. They said that is Abacha. So when all those soldiers come, they salute, bah, they will go in. Some of them who were watching around and all that. When we finished from this, in the following day, we took off down to Lagos. It was the first time I was ever visiting Maiduguri. We stayed in the Deribe Hotel. And my brother, the heat that dealt a blow on us, it wasn't easy. But we flew back to Lagos, and we were licking our wounds.
But this National Assembly,
I'm coming back to that. So okay. You see, it's not a matter of saying National Assembly. There are people who own the National Assembly. Really? Yeah, Nigerians. You don't think that you can just get things across.
Remember you said OBJ, second time he was waiting on God. Eventually he got it. And then started thinking of something else. If Tinubu is to get a second term,
yes,
and then begin to think of a third term, do you think that this National Assembly can stop him?
President Tinubu does not have the same mindset with an OBJ.
You think so?
I know so. Please. Let me tell you, I have an uncanny gift of understanding people and knowing their, the elemental idiosyncrasies and undercurrents. An OBJ from 1999 to 2003 was more or less like a stranger in government. He has been in prison for 4 good years, for God's sake. You must give him the credit. He needs to cleanse himself up. He needed to bring himself to reality. You know what I mean? Solitary confinement. So, having been in prison, he needed to shield himself, shelf that prison mentality in him and come to the reality. And by the time he was coming to the reality, it was already 2002. By the time he was sitting down to work, 2003, 2004, 2005. So, 2006 again, 2007 was staring him in the face. What have I really achieved? I still have a lot of things to do. That was been the motivation for him seeking an elongation by whatever means.
Can this National Assembly, assuming
I don't know what to see in this National Assembly. I think you have to
be proud of them. Are you proud of them working for Nigeria?
I am proud of this present National Assembly.
Working for Nigeria? You're proud of them working for Nigeria?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. You see, it is easier for you, Victor, and quite a number of persons who share your sentiments, for people to just begin to lampoon, slam, lambast the legislature. But you have forgotten that this legislature is populated by members, majority members of the All Progressive Congress. And the leader of the All Progressive Congress is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, aside from being a president. Now, what Nigerians want to see, for some Nigerians, because a lot of people are quite aware of the political dynamics of legislature, executive relationship, and what have you. Even in civilized democracy, in America, for God's sake, 250 years, they marked recently. How many times did you see Republican challenging a behemoth like Donald Trump, who has become, I don't know what I would use to describe him, but who has become so dominant?
But there are times also the institutions of the state.
I'm coming. Let me finish.
Checkmating.
You see, let me finish. I have not seen institutions of state checkmating anything that has to do with Republican and Democrats. Even when candidates are coming, Donald Trump tells you, I'm not going to support that candidate. He has not been representing our interest. And before you know it, they will substitute, or somebody else will emerge as this thing. They will breathe, executive powers on the process. You see, politics, don't forget that we are learning it from America. There's what in the American democracy, when they were growing up, they were what they call Jacobian Scandal Club. It was peculiar in the days of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, and all of that. When the Jacobian Scandal Club, members of Jacobian Scandal Club will scandalize you if they see that you are the one that is like an heir to the throne. Whatever you know how to do more or most, they will give you to do in excess so that you will become fallible. If you love ladies, they will push ladies to you to work in your office. You will commit one blunder or the other, they will scandalize you. You won't be able to contest for president again.
So you are saying even when he hurts the people, they are representing a people, a constituents. Even when their people think otherwise, they should just toe the line of the
Can you give me instances and scenarios where you think the people think otherwise?
Let's take, for instance, the issue of the unending borrowing. What of the Electoral Act? What of the creation of the state police? All these things are issues that didn't go through due process.
No, they went through due process. What you tell me is that they didn't go in the line of the minority voices, opposition.
Even the Electoral Act?
Yes.
That many of the National Assembly members are now crying today?
No, you see, that is selfish because it didn't birth them the tickets they wanted. That's selfish.
But the people said we wanted electronic transfer of instant. Electronic transfer.
I was one of those who argued on the side of saying you need to be careful with just coming up with an item on the menu list of elections and electoral documentations with respect to elections. You cannot wake up in the morning, Victor, and say, Nigeria, you want us to have electronic transmission of result as the only item without having a fallback option. I don't think you know what they call political saboteurs.
In all of this, I want to believe you've spoken like a party man, a member of the APC. I want you to speak as a Nigerian now.
Yeah, you want me to wear the cloak of a dual personality? No,
you're a Nigerian.
No. People always know me for who I am.
Okay, fine.
You see, if I don't subscribe to the oath and membership, doctrine of the APC, then I'm not worthy to be a member. Having been a member as guaranteed by the Constitution of Nigeria that you want to play politics, you have to be a registered member of a party. I have to subscribe to all the niceties, that make up the APC and that make it tick.
Is it that you can't see any other thing that is also not nice about the party?
You see, let me tell you, I will not bring my party into public to be running commentaries that will undermine it when I should be adding value to its present popularity and strength so that it can become stronger. I have access to every topmost individual in APC. Most of the governors, 80% of the governors, I have access to them. I have their telephone numbers. The president, I have access to him. The vice president, I have access to him. The speaker, the Senate president, don't forget I was the one who handled his media when he was looking for Senate presidency. So when I have access to these people, if I have reservations about certain conduct, I will communicate to them directly. I will send messages to them. And I do that oftentimes. And I learned that from my one and only boss, General Ibrahim Babangida. You don't see Babangida criticizing governments, whether local government, state government, or federal government. And when I ask him, he says, I have access to them. I can always tell them my mind. Oh, come on, why did you take this decision? Why didn't you look at it this way? Why didn't you look at it this way? If the president, the governor, or whatever local government, if they decide to take that advice, they will come out stronger as their own initiative. But when you speak it in the public, and they take it, they say, if not be saying that this person is talking for no one. So leadership has its own different categories, and those of us who are honed from the Babangida School of Politics, we don't just genuflect, we don't just talk for talk's sake. We talk with caution, with reason, and with facts. We have access to quite a number of things. It's not everything you have to say in public.
Okay, let's look at it from this context. During Obasanjo era, even when they made attempt at impeaching him, the House was also dominated by members of the PDP. And now, despite being PDP members, they still try to impeach him. So are we saying that the APC-dominated National Assembly can also not stand for the people if the president...
I don't know what...
You
see, I told you earlier on that a President Obasanjo and a President Tinubu are not the same kind of persons. Even their background not the same.
There are things they've done.
No, you see...
People conceive to be impeachable offense.
You see, listen... I don't know what you say as impeachable offense. I can't see it.
Let's now look at there has been this buzz in the social media over John Cardinal Onayekan's visit with Catholic Bishops' Conference to the president. And in the course of that visit, so much happened. The president said quite a lot of things that have also generated reactions from Nigerians, including one about that hunger had been in the land, so that Nigerians didn't start being hungry today.
The country is bleeding.
The country is bleeding.
That is the word that they use.
That the economic reforms, that the economy is doing well, and that INEC is neutral. All of these things are what he said. And on Econ, when they came out, he said that from the body language of the president and the responses he has seen, that it doesn't signpost the fact that Mr. President is really out for a free and fair election, that is desperate. How do you respond to that?
Did Cardinal Onayekan go to the villa to tell the president not to contest the election?
He didn't go to tell him that.
So why is he feeling that the man, that the president is feeling like he's not ready to leave?
Because Mr. President said in politics all is fair.
Of course, it's a saying. And the president subscribed to it. You may not subscribe to that. It's a saying. In politics, all is fair. In war, all is fair. That's what they say.
Should we be saying that in a democracy from a president?
You see, I don't, Victor, I would want to, look at it differently. Cardinal Onayekan, if he knew that he had a television platform to speak to some of these issues, he would have just go to television platform and not go to the president and the Aso Villa to see the president. That way, he could speak his mind away. You see, the moment you seek audience with a president, and the president granted your audience, alongside with a lot of your persons, to discuss issues of nation heart to heart, simple courtesy demands that you absorb what you have heard from the president, process them, and know how to work with that. Every day you stand before your congregation to preach. And he has a responsibility to make Nigeria work. That is as a cardinal or a bishop or anything. You know? There's none of them that as Sabic and as Matthew Kuka, in terms of being prolific and in terms of oratory and in terms of criticizing the powers that be. But he criticizes it with caution. I'm one of his fans. I read him a lot. I listen to him. I want to listen to him and again, how he uses words. But he was part and parcel of the peacemakers and all of that were going around to ensure that they deepen the conversation of electoral sanity with General Ibrahim Babangida and all of them. So you can be a clergy and you may have the interests of your congregants at heart. But for God's sake, also know that there are people who are also not clergy, who are also not your congregants, who will also be looking up to you to hear what you have to say. But when you have access, I spoke about the issue of access earlier on. When you have access to a president, a governor, local government chairman, all that, it means that you can say so many things that you may not be able to say in the public to the person. President, see what did bother also. Let's look at this, let's look at that, let's look at this. But the moment you begin, you now, after living there, you now subject things to outside, and they say you represented what was not presented and all of that. It takes away certain things from you. These are respected men of God. But only an individual knows who is his God. You don't know my God. I don't know your own God. But we are bound by the intricacies of life to respect constituted authority because we have subscribed to the process of enthroning one. So when we see the president, after God, is the president we refer to. That's why you see there is so much cacophony of voices. People are saying this, people are saying that. The point is, President Tinubu says, INEC is fair, is unbiased so far. They should give them opportunity to midwife the process. You know what that tells me? It tells me that the president is resonating believability in the capacity of INEC to deliver elections. That means whatever be the outcome of the elections, if peradventure it didn't favor him, he has already subscribed to INEC as being a fair and unbiased umpire. But in Nigeria, or in the opposition view, the only thing that is fair to them is when an opposition person wins an election. That's when they know that INEC is working. When the opposition loses election, INEC is bad, they are idiotic, they are stupid, they are diabolic, they are demonic, all kinds of language we use to describe INEC. He means well.
Intentions are another thing now. Intentions are a different thing from what people see.
But when you are doing something, there are those who are the implementors. If they frustrate you, nobody is going to look at you. They want you to behave like God that does everything perfectly. No. You have a policy. The policy is one. Implementation is another. Now, as a result of this subsidy removal that you talked about earlier, in Edo, the governor has placed order for 100, CNG buses. 50 have been supplied that to soon roll out. That's a response to an existential problem created by subsidy removal. That is going to create jobs for 50 drivers, 50 motorboys, 100 persons have been taken out of the street. If they become 100, that's 200 persons. So people are not looking at all of that. At the end of the day, the man says, I've increased allocation to states and all that. Looking what to states and states be doing this. What my governor is doing, for example, in Edo State, it gives credit to the president for having the boldness and courage to remove subsidy ab initio. which has now, enhanced what gets to state government. So we should be more interrogative, more assertive in asking the right questions from the right people. The president may not provide answers and solutions to all the problems nagging, the psyche of an average Nigerian and nagging, even the destiny of the country, as it were. But for God's sake, he's taking some bold steps that needs commendation. The forest guard is one that he has just done. In Edo, we are getting better results in our anti-kidnapping activities, anti-all manners of crimes and criminalities than before, because 500 security guards are in the forest, armed. That's good news. Nobody plotted for this kind of a whole-scale kidnapping that is becoming a festering sore. Now that we now have it, we have to think outside the box to act. You see, the military are becoming more and more, responsive, proactive. They are routing a lot of this and, demobilizing them and exterminating quite a number of them. So we are not going to get to the El Dorado we sought in one fell swoop. But for God's sake, we are following this methodically, and I'm very confident that Nigeria will be better for it in no distant future.
Some of the reactions we've also seen from the presidency arising from that, describing Onayekon as being partisan, describing him as almost a turncoat. Does it align with his position, his person over the years? He had always also spoken to other presidents. So why is this one different?
No. I think the president as an individual would not use such language.
But when his minders
How
make press statements.
many minders is he going to be calling to order? Come on, Victor. There are people, I'm a information commissioner in Edo State. There are quite a number of persons who are working even outside the domain of it. They will call them, they say they are government appointees and all of that. There are people who just naturally show sentiments and all that. There are positions that are far-flung from the president. Give him the credit. He will not use that kind of language because when he spoke on TV and all that, he was very straightforward. But he will not use Tom Code and all those and no. But you see, my only query is to ask whether the bishops had in mind to convince him not to contest. And now because either he was contesting that all is fair in politics, they are now feeling disappointed for which they are now voicing their anger. It is not in doubt that some of the bishops and others have their sentiments on one of the candidates because it's part and parcel of them. It's not a crime. We saw it in 2023, yes daddy scenario. If another yes daddy wants to come in 2027, so well and good. When there was yes daddy, we defeated the yes daddy. So we are coming to it again. I have told you before that it will be difficult for an opposition, as they presently are, to think that they will defeat President Tinubu. I'm seeing all the laborious efforts of Atiku Abubakar trying to rake up mods against Tinubu, say, he's drug baron, this, that. You also have to interrogate your own history, whether you are also solid. So you are pointing one finger at somebody, you also point 3 or 4 are pointing at you. It is not enough for you to gladiate yourself to say that you are running an election, whether anyone likes it or not. And Atiku Abubakar contesting for president is against the run of play. That must be stated clearly because of the multiplicities of Nigerian, because of the intricate logic that weaves up together as a country of several multiplicities, as a country of different dichotomies. We must hit the nail on the head. You cannot sneak yourself to power. After 8 years in the north, power should come to the south 8 years.
But it's still within the rights of Atiku Abubakar to contest for the election.
It is. Nobody is saying it's not within the right because the constitution is the ground norm. It's the general destiny. Nobody is saying that. But it is not evident that what is right is what is doable or what is sustainable. Because you know that after Buhari 8 years and you are taking power today, it will come up with its own altercations, he come up with his own political upheavals here and there. Particularly when we have been talking, those of us in the South have been talking about northern domination of power and what have you. Allow President Tinubu to do his 4 years and take an exit. Then power can go to the north. The likes of Kwankwaso and other can look for it. Personally, I don't really know what Kwankwaso is doing on OBTK because in 2031, he stands a good chance to contest for president of this country.
But is that what we've seen a lot of shrinking of the civil space and then muzzling of the opposition by agents of the government?
No.
Should it be?
No, nobody is muzzling anybody.
We see it on a daily basis, even through the judiciary.
No, Victor, I give you another example again. Yesterday, INEC published names of presidential candidates. 19 of them. Have we muzzled the space to 4 or 5? 19 presidential candidates are going to run for 2027.
But we know some of them are just...
No, you are the one saying it as a scholar. If you are doing your research, they ask you a question. How many presidential candidates do we have? There are 19. Opportunities may differ. Access to structure and what makes you formidable may differ. You cannot compare a party that has 31 governors, so many senators, so many House of Reps, so many House of Assembly members, to a party that has just been formed, that does not even have offices in 36 states of Nigeria. Their offices are located in and on Facebook or social media. But you need this structure platforms for you to engage people, for you to plan administrative work, for you to plan clerical assignments, logistics, distribution of logistics, materials, and what have you.
But to be ridiculed this issue of structure in 2023.
He didn't ridicule it. It's the reason why he lost.
Of course he did, because some people say
no,
social media.
No, because you see,
get one state.
They didn't win. He came third. You see, the point must be made. He didn't win. He only helped to cross-fertilize ideas and ventilate viewpoints and let loose some steam.
Still believe
he won. He didn't win. He didn't win. It's not possible. I told you before on this your program. When you have 176,000 polling units and what Obi could produce was 120,000, leaving 46,000 unattended to, there was no magic that you would be able to coordinate activities in those polling units. That was why they were asking for electronic voting and electronic transfer of results. IREF. My brother, politics is scientific. Politics is man to man. Politics has gatekeepers. Politics and elections have managers. They have observers. They have eyewitnesses. So politics have messengers. So please don't let anybody come and fool you that Obi won election. Which election is that? Obi, from 2023, now that President Tinubu is there till now, has not done anything different or something novel that will warrant, let me say, I would like a surprise for anybody. I can predict him. When you run away from Labour Party, you run away from PDP, you run away from ABGA, you run away from ADC, you're now in ADC, in NDC. For God's sake, what does that tell you about?
The president was also a journeyman in that direction.
No, it's not. Wait, what does that tell you about even your capacity to organize? Don't forget that Obi's lieutenants, Aisha Yusuf and others are already picking holes with him now. You see, you need to give President Tinubu credit.
Has he been in one party all his life?
Yes. Listen to me. He birthed AD with others, one in Lagos. When the original owners of AD were making issues, he told them that they should morph into a bigger party, ACN. First of all, AC, then ACN. Some people joined him. Others didn't want. And he used that ACN to, he even gave Atiku Abubakar the platform to use.
Ironically, the ruling party seem also to be afraid, despite the fact that you call them splinter groups, because their actions and inactions.
No, we are not
afraid. It signposts people who are afraid or even desperate.
We are not afraid. Election was conducted in Ekiti State recently. The governor there was returned. Nobody shouted, rigged the election, whatever. The election was free and fair, no noise, no crisis, and all that.
Okay, let's move on. The former governor of Edo State and senator representing Edo North has pointedly criticized...
My senator.
Yeah, Adams Oshomole has pointedly criticized the Minister of Works of bias in intentionally excluding important federal highways in Edo and Delta states from federal reconstruction plan. What's your take on this?
Well, I have resisted the urge to be dragged into any public, interrogation of the position that the senator representing my district is wont to take on any issue. But again, as a younger person, I have also a responsibility to advise him. And my advice would be that those you have access to, please reach out to them privately and lament your worries to them. That way, you may get their lobbying more on your side than you take them to the public to ridicule them or reduce them as though they don't know what is happening. I will give Umahi some level of credit that he visited Edo like 4 occasions when all these issues came. That means he had interest. The governor, Senator Monday Okpebolo, has a way of getting things done without even making noise. He's very slick, very suave. He moves around these persons and gets a lot of things done. Bringing Umaki to Edo to see things for himself was the first preoccupation of Governor Monday Okpebolo when he took over government. The notorious Ekpoma road, where you had logjam, oftentimes logjam, very terrible. The previous government had erected a signpost there, sorry, we can't fix this road, it belongs to federal government. So Monday Okpebolo brought Umahi there, took him to Uromi axis going to Agbo Road, took him to Abraka Road. And Abraka Road was awarded and they are working. The one going to Asaba is awarded and but under the rain, you can't do so much. So when you have a governor who has his way networking these people, I think the Senator Adams Oshomole will have to be in sync with the governor's approach to be able to drive the Edo narrative, rather than going to the parliament one way or the other to try to lambast or criticize and all of that. You only talk to a man who is not aware of what the issues are. Umahi is very much aware of the state of Edo roads, and the governor has done so much to recover them now. But there are some that will need those interventions, for which, actions have commenced, but for the rains. You can't do anything under the rain. I keep responding to quite a number of social media commentaries and all that when they are showing rainfall and all that. No. The governor was even in pain when the rains came on stream much earlier this year. He said, see, me where I don't plan, say for this dry season, even at 2-3 months, we will take this road, go far. Look at the rains now. But you can't tell God you can't tell nature not to take its course, even though there is climate change, whether you like it or not. So rain must fall, and farmers who need rain, they still need rain. So we must know the timing, So presently, any contractor who tells you that he's constructing road now during this rain period is just trying to waste resources and waste products that are being used. It's all concrete roads go and look at what the governor is doing on Sapele Road, the concrete road that this thing is doing, with side drains.
But his complaints or observations, are they not germane?
They will have been germane to the point that nothing is being done. But something is being done. That's what I'm saying. And there's task waiver on that road for Boa Cement to take action. They have cement. They should do concrete, whatever. And they are working to their own pace. But the rest can't happen. My community should even be crying. We even attempted to even block the road at some point that the cement factory in my community are not able to fix just 2 kilometer stretch of road, right in the middle of Okpela community. We're protesting. But you can protest during the rainfall, but during dry season, we want them to speed up the work.
Okay, President Tinubu recently, during a visit by Oyo traditional rulers, pointed out that the state governors are getting between 4 to 5 times what they were getting before in terms of allocation. And pointedly asked the state governor to stop constructing flyovers, that they should rather channel their resources into road networks. And for Edo that recently celebrated his first flyover.
We have not celebrated. We are about to celebrate.
Okay, how do you see?
We will celebrate.
How do you see that directive,
No, that directive was not targeted at Edo.
No, I'm not saying it's targeted at Edo.
Yes, because don't forget, he said necessary, where not necessary. Our own was a child of necessity. Ramat Park, location of our present flyover, has always been a notorious traffic jam these years. You will spend man hours there when you are traveling, when you are commuting around there. So for us, from day one, Senator Mondo Pebolo commenced this flyover, is 95% completed. What we are doing are the adjoining roads and channeling of the rainwater and all of that, so as to empty into a Koba slope. So it's been asphalted, street lights on top of it and all of that. A second flyover is also ongoing at Adesuwa Junction. These are troubled spots when it comes to heavy traffic. And those two are just going to be the only flyovers in the entire Edo state. So it's a good historical and landmark achievement of the Governor Monday Okpebolo administration. And we are proud of that. We are very, very proud of that. We look at what the people want. We are building hospitals, primary health care that we have built are over 70 as we speak. In November, we'll be spending our second year in office. We have constructed a lot of schools. We are building road network. But just like I said, we needed more of dry season to drive our intervention in road construction more than what we are getting now. Edo is, because of the peculiar location as a rainforest region, you have to bear with the rains. So
you talk about primary health care centers, and this morning there is this report that about 6,516 primary health care centers across the country are non-functional, and Edo has 221 non-functional primary health care centers, and you are talking about building a new one.
No, that is not true. You see, our target.
These are the figures from, of course, is from the National Primary Health Care Development Agency data, their dashboard.
Let me come to that. Our target is to make 146 primary health care centers functional, bring them up to speed. We have the ones we have recovered. We met the rots, no doubt. But I've just told you we have recovered 70. And our target is 146.
Okay, from these ones?
Yes, from these ones. So if they say they're not, that is what we inherited. And we are taking them gradually. It's like the report by Philip Consulting recently on Edo, when they say Edo was the least in the number of 33 states that they look at. But while naysayers quickly went to town, and those who served the previous government, they failed to point out the point that that report of Philip Consulting covered 2023 and 2024, by which time Okpebolo had not even come. Okpebolo came November 2024 when it was already winding down. But it was convenient for them to say, we are not doing this. But from what we have done in the last 20 months, going to 21 now, I can tell you that Edo is in safe hands. Aside from this primary healthcare we're talking about, schools that we have recovered, chairs and tables that we have produced, kilometers of road that the number of kilometers of road that we have awarded is 533 kilometers. If we are able to complete that one, you know how networked Edo will be. Out of that, now we have only been able to finish about 101. So if this rain stops and we're able to speed up our activities, by the time we are completing first 4 years, we'll have maybe cater for about 300 or 400 kilometers of roads, depending on availability of funds and what have you. But the ones we have awarded are about 533 kilometers of roads. So when you look at that, you look at our primary healthcare, new agencies being formed, social development, giving money to market women, building markets to sustain their enterprise and all of that, recruiting staff, 5,000 teachers, 2,500 Edo security corps, 500 for forest guards, civil service, over 2,000 to cover up the shortfalls in terms of promotions and all of that.
These are latest updates.
Latest updates
in developments
in Edo. So we are not there yet, but we are cruising at very high altitude, and I'm happy about that. And don't forget that some of us have very critical minds. We will interrogate the system from within. We don't need to go out like others would do to go and be shouting and complaining. No. I like the approach of the governor in networking the system quietly and getting results. You will not even know when the governor visits the president. You won't know when he visits Umahi at home. You won't know. And all you just see is just results. And that is the kind of thing that you expect when you have access to those who are in authority.
What is the motivation or the informing spirit behind the appointment of an Igbo man in a Edo cabinet and someone who is visually impaired as a permanent secretary? What are the motivations and the spirit behind it?
Of course, even the law says that you have to give certain percentages of those handicapped and those who are, suffering from one form of deformities or the other. He qualified. He wrote the exams to be promoted to permanent secretary, and he got it. And the exams were conducted by outsiders who are not in the system at all. If you need to see the way they score them. That man to have scaled through means that the man is actually a solid man. And so the governor didn't hesitate in appointing him, since he has passed and he's been promoted to that status, appointing him. The Igbo man is a supporter of APC. He's an APC person. The fact that he doesn't come from Edo does not mean that he's not doing business in Edo. He's doing business in Edo, he's paying his tax in Edo, he's doing everything, his children, everything. They are resident in Edo. Once you have this kind of open attitude to absorb people who are not originally from your place, it will help to deepen national conversation, of what they call it. They call it national integration. We are campaigners. We don't dominate just for the sake of domination. No, we go out to the people who plead for their votes. We did local government election recently. Some other opposition parties, instead of feeding candidates, they said they were boycotting. They said they know that it is APC that will win.
All right, let's look at, your governor was in London recently to interact with Edo indigenes in diaspora. What are the benefits of that trip?
Well, it's the first time that my memory can recall when a sitting governor was traveling to London to interact with diasporans. Of course, there are those in America, there are those in Canada, Italy, everywhere. But of course, London is for this particular exercise. It was London, and it afforded him opportunity to also present his scorecard to them, while also waiting to hear from them what their reservations are, what their criticisms are, what their suggestions are, so that it will also prepare him to better respond to developmental challenges in the state. I've seen a couple of guys in social media. One said he was not allowed to ask questions, that the questions were prepared and all that. You cannot, the governor cannot take questions from everybody. And for whatever it is worth, if you wanted to ask questions, and among all the questions that were asked, yours was not captured inside it, then something must be wrong with the question you wanted to ask. So only God knows the ulterior motive you have in the first instance. But again, public events such as that are usually coordinated so that it doesn't become a jamboree kind of. And the governor presented his scorecard. A lot of exposures came on board. People didn't know quite a number of things he has done. You know, the governor's intervention in the area of cultism, in the area of Yahoo, security. You know, Edo is very safe now. I can say that because the kind of things we are getting since this forest guy came on stream like a week ago, we are hitting the bandits heavy, we are hitting kidnappers heavy, and all of that. And don't forget that we also have, you know, special courts put in place to try those who have been apprehended, for speedy trial and all of that. It has commenced, and they are providing very good results. So the governor had warned earlier that people should not take his simplicity for granted. That the fact that he's simple does not mean that that he can't bite, and he has just started showing that. So things are moving forward. He also prevailed on people in diaspora who have the resources to come back home and invest. There are some of them who want to build houses in their respective villages and areas. Don't be scared, Steve. Please come back, come and build houses. We recognize the important role of their remittances to their siblings, parents, and what have you. They bring out a lot of money into the economy of the state, so we appreciate that. And so governor wants a platform. He's the first governor who created an agency called the Diaspora Agency, headed by Professor Loretta, who is also doing a yeoman's job. And so once you have platforms such as this, that will help you to look at issues, nagging the consciousness of these persons, she can bring them to the table for the governor to take decisions on. They don't have to be in Nigeria. There are some that are coming back home now. There are some that also want to remain there, who are also giving us suggestions, ideas, initiatives that will help us to, enhance our performance profile.
Let's begin to wind down gradually because of your schedule also. One of the topical issues are trended in the last 2 weeks, so to say, or even more than that, is the issue of the quote-unquote fake agency. And our budget is a restatement of the obvious. That is a very important document that should be thoroughly scrutinized. Now, when you look at the argument of how one individual was able to smuggle himself into the budget, got a budget of 1.3 billion, got an office space, had a deployment of staff, had an account opened for him. When you look at all of this, how does it make you feel as a Nigerian, and what's your reaction to all of this?
Well, as much as I wouldn't want to dwell on that subject matter, because obviously it's undergoing investigation now, I wouldn't want to preempt them and all that. I can say that that is one of the absurdities that even Mr. President will have to, had to contend with as a president of the country. And it is one of the things I was telling you earlier, that when you have policies in place, those who are implementers and implementers of these policies and policies, they could be saboteurs, they could be economic buccaneers and predators. This is just one of them, or one of it. And so that somebody is able to beat the system, circumvent the system, shortchange the system in such a manner, smartly, reminds one of the, Yahoo mentality that has become so, vociferous among some Nigerian youths. But again, I'm happy that even the chief of staff has submitted himself for interrogation and what have you. And so let us allow them to finish their interrogations, their findings. Let them come up with their recommendations. If people have superior ideas, information that they feel that will help the committee that is set up by ICPC or what have you, they should volunteer to them so that we can move.
What do you make of the House of Reps also concluding the investigation without hearing from the principal actor, which is Prince Adeniyi?
Well, I don't know what the motivation is in the first place. As far as I know, the parliament is just to play oversight function on the executive. Like you have in America, there's an office they call Government Accountability Office, GAO. That is the government that usually scrutinizes executive budgets, executive expenditure, and what have you. Even though that there's nobody, no agency or government that also looks at the budget and expenditure of the National Assembly. So it's always like that. It is the role that the Government Accountability Office plays in American democracy over the executive. So the oversight function of the legislature here is well grounded, is well noted, and guaranteed under the Constitution. But I expect that they will be methodical in their approach and they will be scientific in dealing with this issue, because it is not just about dancing to the tune of the mob. I prefer to see scenarios that will address the critical issues. Since ICPC is a function, it's an agency of government in terms of anti-corruption and what have you, they should have allowed them to finish. And if they are not satisfied with the findings and conclusions drawn from those investigations, they could take a step further to make them actionable. But doing this one here, simultaneously doing ICPC, I think it's like taking the handshake beyond the elbow.
But ICPC, some people argue, is under the presidency, and one is wondering whether they can indict the presidency since they report to the presidency.
You need to go to ICPC. I pray you don't visit ICPC one day. When you go there, you are being scrutinized. You will not be thinking about president or no president. You will not be thinking that you're a big man or big man. Just pray you don't get into their trap. That's why you have to live above board. They do their job thoroughly. I can say that. Because in Edo, when we were trying to do asset verification and all that, we got one of the personnel who gave us some level of forensic skills to dissect a few knotty issues that were neither here nor there, that we saw in the books of the previous governor, Godwin Obaseki. So they don't just exist in name. They have skills, personnel who have skills that can interrogate issues. Even when you are trying to hide them, what happened to Ogbulafo, late Ogbulafo? Was it not the same ICPC that tried him, even though he was a government appointee? So please, people should have confidence at times in some of these agencies that they can do certain things. If you want to get anti-corruption rightly, what I always advocate is for you to pay the personnel good remuneration. Pay them good remuneration so that they will be free from all the trappings and temptations of illicit funds that could be used to bribe them. Once you do that, EFCC, ICPC, you pay them, good remuneration, you can get things running well. But if you pay them peanuts, you will get monkeys. And when you get monkeys, it's as good as you not doing anything.
All right, political campaigns are about to kick off in the next couple of weeks now. ahead of 2027 general elections. Give us here political permutations, all other things being equal for 2027.
There are nothing like all other things being equal. there is nothing like that, because opportunities in politics differ, and they are not equal. APC with 31 governors, so many House of Rep members, majority senators, president, vice president, political appointees, House of Assembly members, local government chairmen, they are already operating at the realm of unequals with other political parties. So you can't, it's natural that we are going to, APC would defeat all its opponents in this next election.
But Jonathan had the same opportunities as well, and he lost in 2015.
The last time I told you, I said, stop comparing Jonathan with Tinubu. Please.
Why?
No. With due respect. Their humanity is, and socio-political milieu that threw up these two leaders are different. You know, President Tinubu is rugged. He's a strategist. He's a planner. He's a marathon runner. President Jonathan is not. President Jonathan is withdrawn, taciturn, calm, calculative. But when it gets to hitting the ground running, he doesn't have it. That was why he was defeated. And that's what I'm telling you about President Tinubu, that he was able to morph together political parties that were dominant in their own sense and put them under one umbrella called APC and coordinated them without rancor. You see that PDP, the ruling party of Nigeria for 16 years, you see that they are in disarray. We had to poach one of their strong members, Nyesom Wike.
And he's working from within.
And he's doing a yeoman's job. It's possible that you may be a PDP member. When you see the road Wike construct, please don't drive on it. Go and drive on anywhere, please. Because what is a common denominator is about development and growth. Your personal choices and affiliations, to me, is immaterial. But essentially, you have a man who is delivering on mandates in the FCT. Even those who are naysayers and opportunists concede to the fact that Wike is doing well. So please join in the chorus to say, Mr. Wike, well done. Continue to do well.
Let's have your permutations.
My permutation is that APC will get more votes this time around than in 2023, when there were so many landmines, bottlenecks, and all that. And let me also advise Alhaji Atiku Abubakar that this idea of thinking that, he's going to be shouting drug, so that to attract the attention of Donald Trump or his lieutenants in America is the height of second-level slavery. We are Nigerians. We have our resources. We're a sovereign nation. That America has become a global police does not mean that they have to be giving us our individual names everywhere. Wants to call me Kassim, wants to call me Victor, wants to call this one. No, please, let us live our life. And within the ambit of what we have as a country, let us see how we can deepen the process to throw up leaders and to cater for the interests of the majority of Nigerians. It's not enough that because of your desperation to be president of Nigeria, you have to be singing about drug here, drug there. This man is the president of Nigeria presently.
But you said all is fair in politics.
No. Listen. I am not saying all is not fair. I'm saying all is fair to the extent that you don't demarcate the country. If by accident of history he wins election, will he not be president over Nigeria? Is he any better than the people he's condemning? At 80, I don't expect an Atiku Abubakar to start looking for presidency of Nigeria. That's the truth. And because he has never been strategic and he will continue to be unstrategic, he will not get it because he's running against the run of play. Victor, we must come to that conclusion that whether informally or formally, there has to be power rotation among the two dominant structures and dichotomies in the country, North and South. Let us be fair to ourselves. When you had your turn 8 years, nobody disrupted you. He contested, of course, against his own brother, Buhari, in 2019. That's okay, that's for him. But let the Southerners be the one competing against ourselves so that we'll complete our term of 8 years. And in this case, we have a President Tinubu that has so much to market. You need to travel around the country and see the volume of road network that are coming on board. The volumes are legion.
Why is it that the ordinary Nigerians don't see the things
they are
people
saying?
see?
They are saying. Let me give you a typical example of why you think that Nigerians are not seeing. Nigerians are seeing them. If APC wants to organize rally in Abuja, give us 24 hours. Eagle Square will fill to the brim. You know why? We have structure. It's just for you to cut 10 people from those structures, they'll be there. So the Nigerians you are talking are the lousy ones who want to drown their voices condemning Tinubu because they feel that it's a normative order. But those of us who are in membership of parties, in the hierarchy of membership of political parties submitted to INEC, APC had the largest number of membership in a political party. So you cannot take us for granted. You cannot think that we don't have what it takes to win a free and fair election. We have it. It's not one man, one vote. We have what it takes. I'm just wondering who will defeat me and my people in my polling unit of Ward 1, Unit 1, Ward 5 in Opola. I'm just wondering. Because which of the party? Is it ADC? Is it the fractured PDP? Or is it the NDC that has not even taken off? So people must come to the realization and give us some credit for God's sake. APC is on ground for 2027. I don't see any political party that can defeat APC in a free and fair election as we have it now. I can't see the party.
You think free and fair election, because APC will win?
APC would, in fact, landslide. That's
in a free and fair election?
In a free and fair election, landslide. Because in the midst of all this noise, you still see a lot of APC members in all the geopolitical zones solidly on board. When they are doing campaigns, you see them. When they are doing meetings, you see people. Edo, our rallies are, crowded with Edo people and all of that, because they can see what the governor is doing, and for that reason they are supporting the APC. And that is how it happens, how it is in every other state. So where you have you can't have it all rosy in a place. So it will be like an aggregation of the performance of APC governors, senators, House of Rep members that will deliver the elections, including the performance of the president. So those students who have benefited from loans from the NEL funds, they will queue up for us, because without us, they won't go to school. They will queue up for Tinubu. They will want him to continue.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure having you around.
It's a pleasure also.